Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Monotui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our GBA Season 7 Week 9 match versus Lars, aka El Sizzler. If you've not done so already, please check out his YouTube link in the description below. We have faced him earlier on in this season, and we were able to pull off a 2-0 victory. We also faced him last season. We're also able to pull off a 2-0 victory. And somewhat recently, we ended up playing in the March Madness tournament, which, don't worry, I will be uploading those games, and I'm not going to spoil the result, but we're facing Lars and his very spooky team. As you can see, he decided to bring his Primarina, his Donphan, his Nihilego, his Heracross, his Tornadus Incarnate, and his Celebi. For a quick rundown of our team, even though I do have an entire team builder dedicated to it, we have our physically offensive Life Orb Greninja, our physically defensive Choppleberry Miltank, our Assault Vest Jirachi, our Scarfed Buzzwole, our Dragon Dance Life Orb Zygarde, we have our and we have our Nasty Plot 3 attacks, Salazzle. So looking at his team, it's relatively similar to the team he brought last time, although there are two key differences, being the Heracross as well as the Celebi. I'm assuming he's going to be a similar Donphan set, maybe with a Rocky Helmet, physically defensive, something like that. Not sure in the Primarina. Maybe a Scarfed Nihilego, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe a Scarfed Heracross, that would make a lot of sense. And then I'm expecting probably a similar Tornadus set. It could have put in a lot of work last game, and I think he's going to try it again. And then I'm assuming he's some sort of bulky Celebi in order to take on my Zygarde. So, without further ado, let us just get into the game. I am going to end up leading with my Jirachi, or actually no, I believe I end up leading with my Miltank. Maybe? I don't remember exactly, actually. My bad. We'll see in a second. He's going to lead off with his Primarina, and as you can see here, I'm actually going to lead with my Greninja, and I can't knock this thing out with a Gunk Shot. He could be Kebia Berry, he also could be relatively bulky, and regardless, I don't knock him out with Gunk Shot anyway. So I'm just going to switch out and go out into my Jirachi, and as you can see here, he is going to make a very good turn 1 prediction. Expecting me to want to switch out, he's going to actually end up going for the Scald, which is going to hit my Jirachi, and even though it's not going to do a lot of damage, he is unfortunately going to snag the burn, which is very annoying for me, because I'm going to be whittled down and my attack is cut, so I'm not going to be able to do enough damage to things that I want to do. However, I'm going to go for the Grass Knot on this turn, expecting him to want to go out in a Donphan, or if he stays in with Primarina, I'll do a little bit of damage to it. We are going to go for that Grass Knot, and as you can see, we are actually going to score a crit. So, I guess kind of revenge for the burn, although the burn is a 30% chance, and the crit is like a 6% chance, so definitely a little bit more in my favor, but regardless, we are going to get that crit, and it's going to be very useful. And here, because he's not in range of another Grass Knot, and if he stays in, I think he's going to go for Rocks anyway, I'm actually just going to go for an Iron Head, trying to flinch him and put him in range of the next Grass Knot, and that is exactly what I'm able to accomplish, as now his Donphan is relatively low, and I can just go for a Grass Knot to knock him out. He, however, is going to save his Donphan, wanting to possibly get up Rocks later on, so what he's going to do is just switch right out into his Celebi, as he's going to take this Grass Knot, basically like it's nothing. And as you can see, yeah, that is absolutely nothing, and we are still getting whittled down by burn. And now I don't know what the Celebi is, so I'm going to try and scout it out a little bit. He is actually going to pull a double, however, a very smart double, into his Donphan, expecting me to want to go for something like a U-turn, which means that I will be taking more Rocky Helmet damage. And as you can see here, U-turn's going to go off, it's going to do a little bit of damage, and now I am in range of, I believe, burn on the next turn, so even if I predict him to do something and I double out in a Jirachi, I will go down to the burn regardless, but here what I'm going to do is just go out into my Greninja. It's a relatively good Pokemon versus his team, as he doesn't have great switch-ins to it, other than maybe the Primarina, so I'm just going to go for the Waterfall and knock him out. I'm okay with taking the Rocky Helmet damage, as well as the Life Orb damage. It shouldn't be too much, and I don't necessarily need my Greninja all that healthy. It still dies in one hit to pretty much everything in his team anyway, but now he can send out his Primarina once again, and unfortunately I don't have good switch-ins to this thing on the entirety of my roster, and the switch-ins that I do were set up fodder to Magearna, which I'll go over at the end, but I do have my Jirachi that I can sack off here. As you can see here, he has no reason not to click Moonblast. That is exactly what he's going to go for, and he will be able to just knock out my Jirachi, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Similar to last game, even though Jirachi could do a lot, it's going to end up going down relatively early. However, this does give me a switch out into my Miltank, and this does give me an opportunity to set up my Stealth Rocks, which are going to be very useful for things like that Tornadus, as well as chip damage off onto things like the Heracross. As well as this thing, if he wants to switch it back in, I can whittle it down and put it in range of Gunk Shot, possibly. However, he is going to reveal the Toxic here, which is very annoying. I do not have Heal Bell on this thing, meaning that my Miltank is basically on a timer, and that's not great for me just because With the Chapel Berry, I could have taken a hit from things like the Lucario, the Heracross, and fired back attacks. But pretty much the only thing the only job that this thing has at this point is just weakening this Primarina so I can put it in range of Gunk Shot from Greninja. So he's going to fire off a Moonblast on the next turn. It's going to do about 50%. He's going to get a special attack drop. I also got the Para with Body Slam. You're going to see later on that doesn't matter in the slightest. But, you know, we did get it, so I guess that makes up for the burn earlier on. Regardless, he's going to switch out his Primarina. He wants to keep it relatively healthy, as instead he is going to go out into his Celebi here, which I'm also okay with, because if I can weaken this thing a little bit, I can put it in range of Greninja's Night Slash. I can put it in range of a few other things on my team, like my Zygarde's Crunch and whatnot. Gonna end up getting a crit. It's still not going to do all that much damage, so it really doesn't matter too much. And here, I am just going to go for a Body Slam once again, just because I don't need my Milk Tank too much anymore. It's pretty much done its job, and even though I could Milk Drink, I'd be taking a lot of poison damage, and it's not necessarily worth it to keep it around. I'd rather just try and get some damage off onto the Celebi, maybe get a Para if I'm lucky, although the Para wouldn't matter too much because obviously it is Natural Cure. It would be nice just to slow it down a little bit, maybe set up on it with my Zygarde. But here what I can do is actually send out my Salazzle. By the way, it's nicknamed Wingull, don't ask why. My Jenner, I don't know what he was. It's named Wingull, it's a bird now. But he's going to switch out, and he's going to go out into his Nihilego. I considered going for HP Ground, but I didn't think it was worth it, just because my game plan at this point is to actually sweep with Scarf Buzzwole, which I can possibly do if I'm able to weaken this thing a little bit. And as you're going to see here, he's going to take the Sludge Bomb. He's going to reveal the Black Sludge, so I know he's not Scarf. And then what I can do is I can just go for the Hidden Power Ground on the next turn in order to weaken this thing to the point where he is definitely in range of an attack from my Buzzwole, which is really nice. He's going to be able to knock me out with the Power Gem. I didn't really have a great switch into that. I could have gone into Zygarde, but Zygarde is a very big win condition, and I can actually sweep with Dragon Dance on that as well. So I didn't want to switch into that. He's going to get the Beast Boost. It's going to be in Special Attack instead of Speed, so he is running the... I think he's running the Timid set, but also enough Special Attack, whereas I believe last time he got the Speed Boost. Now, however, because he got the Special Attack boost, I can go out into my Greninja, and I can just click Waterfall and knock this thing out, which is very nice. Now, my Buzzwole can kind of just spam Poison Jab across the entirety of his team. I believe it hits everything neutrally or super effectively at this point, which is really nice. I got rid of the Donphan, I got rid of this Nihilego, so Poison Jab is very spammable at this point, and he is going to send in his Primarina. He's paralyzed. So, that's kind of nice if I can get a Para, maybe if this Gunk Shot doesn't kill. As you're going to see, he's going to have the Kebia Berry once again, and that is going to save his Primarina. I was kind of hoping he wouldn't have it again, but he does have it. It makes a lot of sense. It's very good versus my team. Very good prep. Going to weaken the damage. I'm hoping for a Para here, as I will be able to knock it out with the next Gunk Shot. However, he is not going to get fully parried, and he is going to knock me out with this Moonblast, which does kind of suck. However, it's not the worst thing in the world for me, because now what I can do is go out into my Zygarde, and at this point, we're in a very good spot to actually start breaking through his team and possibly setting up in a second, because all he has left is his Celebi, which he is probably going to switch into, his Torn, and his Heracross. Now, I went right for the 1000 arrows here, just because there was a very likely chance he was just going to sack his Primarina and go for Moonblast, because it's paralyzed and it's at very low health. However, he actually decides to save it, and he goes out into his Celebi instead. And I'm thinking that this is very okay as well. He's going to see on Life Orb, but if I get up to +1 at the amount of HP that he's at, I will be able to knock him out with Crunch, and if he goes for Recover, I can just 2 KO him, which is really nice. So as you can... Okay, sorry about that weird cut, my thingy stopped recording, but regardless, I'm going to be going for this Dragon Dance just because I can knock the Celebi out with 2 Crunches after I get to +1, and I should be able to knock it out with... Yeah, I should be able to 2 KO him with Crunch, which is going to be very nice, and he has nothing to Okome, which is going to be... which could lead to a possible sweep, just because I hit the rest of his team very, very hard. But as you can see here, he's actually going to be Colbur Berry on his Celebi as well, and he's going to be fully physically defensive on this. So unless I get the defense drop here, which as you can see, I don't, he is now going to be able to 2 KO me with the Hidden Power Ice. This Celebi was made specifically to stop my Zygarde, no matter what set I was, and that was really good prep on his part, because now I'm going to go for the second Crunch. Even though I'm +1 and even though I'm Life Orb, it's just going to miss out on the KO. I'm going to take some Life Orb recoil, and he is just going to be able to knock me out with the Hidden Power Ice. So this was a very bulky 3 attacks recover Celebi. Very good prep on his part. There wasn't really much else I could do with this thing. I didn't really see this coming because he already had the Fizz Def, Kebia Berry, Primarina, and I didn't know if he'd do it both. However, we're still in an okay spot, because we have Scarf Buzzwole here, and Scarf Buzzwole is a big problem to Lars' team. as you can see, we're going to knock out the Celebi. Poison Jab will be able to knock out the Permarina for Marzap. Heracross shouldn't be able to do too much to me, and if he's a physical Tornadus, he's going to have to lose his item in order to knock me out with Acrobatics. So as you can see here, he's going to go into Heracross. I'm like, okay, I guess if he's Scarf with Aerial Ace, he beats me. But we outspeed him, and if I get up to +2, I knock out the Tornadus no matter what. So we're going to go for the Poison Jab. We're going to win this game, except he's Salic Berry on the Heracross, and that Poison Jab put him in range, and he does the Aerial Ace, and he is going to be able to 2-KO me. And unless he screwed up his speed, which he didn't, we are going to lose this game 3-0 to Lars, aka El Scizor. So, yeah. We're going to talk about a little bit why this game went wrong. Now, as soon as his face pops up, please pop up. Oh, no, okay, there we go. So, I rewatched this game a few times, as I do with all of my losses, just because you can learn a lot more from a loss than you can from a win. And looking back, I don't think there's really anything wrong with my play in this game. Maybe I could have been more aggressive with my Salazzle and gone for Hidden Power Ground, but I didn't think I don't know if that was necessarily the best play, because like he could have just knocked me out with Earth Power if he decided to stay in. If he was a bulky Celebi, he could have taken the hit anyway. And he did have the Heracross to kind of deal with the Zygarde anyway. I don't think there was really anything wrong with my play here. I think, honestly, Lars prepped and played this game extremely well, especially during prep. He had so many berries on his team that worked out perfectly. He had the Kebia Berry on Primarina, he had the Colbur Berry on Celebi, he had the Salic Berry on Heracross that really helped him out. And those were all things that really just helped contribute to his win, and he was able to do really well with his team. Honestly, he just brought a counter to every single thing that I brought, and I'm not sure if I could have played around that in this game. Maybe I could have played, like I said, maybe like a little bit more aggressively, but I don't disagree with any of the plays I made during this game, and I don't even necessarily disagree with my prep. I think Lars, really after me beating him last season and me beating him this season, he really buckled down and prepped very well for me, and he was able to come out with a win here. So honestly, I don't blame myself as much for this loss. I'm definitely gonna, if I have to play him again during the playoffs, I'm definitely gonna rewatch this game again, see what I can do a little bit differently. Part of that is also, I think, because we played a rematch. Rematch games, I think, are usually easier for the people who lose. You saw that last season with George. I got completely bodied in the first game, and then I brought the next game extremely close. But regardless, I just have to chalk this up to Lars prepping and playing extremely well. I'm definitely gonna try and prep better for my future games, even though I think I did fine this week. I have to do my best in order to stay at the caliber of this league. So, regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. Very good game to Lars. Like I said, check him out in the description below if you have not done so already. Next week, we are going up against Duncan Kneedeep, coach of the Free State Toracats. So hope you're looking forward to that. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you then.